And we're live once again on another Tuesday, and I have another guest in the house today. Mildred, would you please go ahead, introduce yourself to everybody, just in case they don't know you, although you're very big on LinkedIn. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, I would certainly hope people know me because then my LinkedIn visibility stuff is working, right? But my name is Mildred Talabi, and I am a LinkedIn visibility coach. I do specialize in helping women, especially female coaches, build visible and profitable brands right here on LinkedIn. That's what I do in a nutshell.
Awesome. Awesome. So, we're talking today about bouncing back from adversity, which applies to men and women. It's a topic that affects us all at so many levels. It can affect us at a personal level, it could affect our families, our colleagues, our friends, our business partners, our clients, our employers. So many people are affected by adversity. And you have an incredible story to share. So I'd like to actually kick off by letting you share as much as you feel comfortable talking about. And it's an incredible journey that you've been through. And you're coming up on an amazing anniversary starting next month, which is tomorrow. So would you please just share your story with us?
Sure, and thank you for the opportunity to share my story on your show, Gillian. Yeah, September, which starts tomorrow, it literally would be my 2 year anniversary of being brain tumor free. So, woo! In this month of September, 2 years ago, September 2019, I ended up in hospital. So I had a collapse outside of work, woke up in hospital, and then I was taken to a specialist hospital in London where they said, "Oh, we found something in your head. By the way, it's a brain tumor. So not only can you not leave, not only can you not go home, but you're gonna stay in this hospital for a very long time." So I ended up staying in hospital in September 2019 for almost the entire month. So I went in on the 2nd and I came out on the 26th. In that time, I had a 6 hour surgery to get the brain tumor removed. In that time, I had 3 days I spent in intensive care. It took me another 8 weeks or so to even regain use of my legs and start, walking again, in about 8 months, to drive again and get back to some kind of normal routine. But it was a real big shaking up of my life, at the time. And it brought a lot of things into perspective. But so it's a story that I realize that I talk about being visible, and I talk about the importance of being visible with our stories for our business, but it's something that not a lot of people know, that I've been through this adversity. All of us have been through some kind of adversity in some shape or form, and sometimes you just don't know it by looking at people's posts or looking
Yeah.
at what you perceive as their success and whatever they're doing until they start sharing their stories. So that's why I'm sharing mine, because I'm hoping that in so doing, I will give at least one person, somebody, the inspiration to just kind of share your story, be open and visible with your journey along your path to success, and you can all help each other in that way.
Wow, wow, wow. That's incredible. That's an incredible story. And just the courage that you must have had to draw upon to get through these times. I'm sure it was frightening. I'm sure it was hard on your whole family. And you said you have little ones. So I'm assuming you're married, or you have a family, you have
Yeah.
children. And so how did they take it? Like, did they know? How old are they?
So I do have little ones. I am married. My awesome husband, Malachi. He's on LinkedIn. Good job, Malachi. We were talking up here about getting family members and friends on LinkedIn. But yeah, he's on LinkedIn. And I have two girls who are 5 and 6, so they're quite young. So how the tumor thing actually started is about around May 2019. So about 5 months or so, if my maths is correct, before the time. I woke up on one day, May the 25th, I woke up with this pounding headache,
Mm.
headache and neck ache. It was like the kind of pain that you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy ever. Like, it was just banging. And I thought, okay, maybe I just slept on the wrong side of the bed. Maybe that's all this is. Pop a few pills and that will help me feel better.
Right.
Pop some pills. It didn't help me feel better. Not for that moment, not for the rest of the day. It ended up being a problem that persisted for 5 months, for all the time, because literally I was living in chronic pain, like pretty much
Mm,
throughout the day. It was this thing would hit me out of nowhere. And I would just have to stop everything. Sometimes I'd be at home and I get on the floor and it'd be like, the kids would be like, Mommy, are you okay? Are you okay? I'm like,
mm,
just give Mommy a minute. Just give me a minute,
mm.
while it passes. And I would go to work because at that time I wasn't fully self-employed.
Okay.
I had one foot in the world of work and I had one foot in the world of business. I've done that for like my entire career. So I had a contract role where I was communications manager. So my previous life I was journalist, worked in the media, moved to PR communications. So I had a role. I just started this role, so it was quite new to be telling your organization, by the way, I'm dealing with some severe chronic pain,
Oh,
kind of thing. But I was living with that every day. I went into work, I would get hit out of nowhere with this pain. It was just horrendous, and I would have to run into the bathroom to just give myself a moment to calm down. So because I drink quite a lot of water, they just kind of thought, oh, she's always in the toilet,
right.
she's always in the toilet because she drinks so much. But nobody knew at work what I was going through until that day when I came into work. I didn't even make it to the workplace. I drove to the car park. I was driving on the motorway. I don't know if it's called motorway in America, but where it goes super fast. Driving, trying to get into work, and it's just like as I'm driving, the cars are going past me, and I couldn't see them until they're gone. And I was just like, what is happening here? Somehow ended up at the work car park, highly feverish, talking nonsense because I called one of my workmates. She said she could barely recognize what I was saying. Called the ambulance, and then I just collapsed. And that was like the end of and the beginning of a new journey, but the end of that first journey of this chronic pain I was living in, because I didn't know there was a tumor in my head that was causing me all these problems. And nobody knew until I actually fainted and got to hospital. And then it was diagnosed. And then that's where the healing started. So it
Wow.
was a lot. It was a lot to deal with at the time.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. And how wonderful that now you're tumor free. What's the prognosis moving forward? Do they kind of want to keep doing scans every couple of years? Like what happens now moving forward?
So it's kind of like that. I'm like a miracle to them, because they're like, your recovery is so fast. And even the thing, even while I was at the hospital, so I would, after I had my operation and stuff, because the where I had the tumor, the back of my head, is I lost the ability to use my legs and hands and all that. So it didn't affect my brain or thinking or anything like that. It was more movements and coordination. So one of the things I couldn't do was walk. And I like running, I like moving, I'm an active person. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna sit in my hospital bed eating, 3-course meals a day, which I was doing, which at a point was like, this is kind of nice because at home I cook all the meals,
What some people will do to get out of cooking.
Exactly, exactly. So that was a nice little light in the darkness, having that been weighted on hand and foot. But I started in my physio from the hospital and I started like trying to walk. I was trying to walk, really hard. I really wanted to walk, So so when they see me in terms of the checkups, I had a physio while I was at hospital. And when I came out, I had a physio for a few months afterwards as well, just checking in on me. And then initially it was every 6 months that I'd have to go to the hospital and they'd have a rescan to see what's happening and making sure that the tumor was gone. And now it's like a year because I'm doing so well. They're like, it's like a miraculous recovery, So it's just every year now I have to see them just to check that everything is still okay and, moving along in the right direction.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. So I have to ask you, do you believe yourself that our attitude, your desire of like, I don't want to be like this. Like I need to get better. Do you just personally believe that had a play in your recovery, that had a part in your recovery?
100%,
Mm.
100%, so, and I'm a person of faith as well. So like my faith really helped me through that whole period. Faith in God and Jesus, it really helped me in that period because it was hard. And you asked about my kids, actually. One of the hardest things about the whole experience was my oldest daughter she was starting primary school. I think that's elementary,
Right.
where you guys are. So, and it was the first time. So it was a big occasion with school uniform, all of that kind of stuff. I had all these ideas on what I was going to do with her hair and, all of that
Right.
mummy's
Special
sort of
day.
stuff. Special day. And I missed the entire thing.
Mm.
And that broke my heart because I was in hospital and I was like, who's going to do her hair for school? Who's going to get her ready? And I missed the thing. And my husband just he really he's a superhero. He became dad, mom, hairdresser, cook, everything, all in that space of time. And I had amazing support as well from family, community, even my neighbors. So there's a whole community thing. But I really, in myself, I was like, there is no way I'm gonna not walk. There's no way I'm gonna just be bed. I begged them to let me go home from hospital. Like
Wow.
literally, I was like, okay, I've done as much recovery as I can here because this is not my real environment. I need to be in my proper setting so I can start doing things again and see how it goes from there. So I was kind of like, I don't want to be here. I don't want this. Okay, this has happened. This is great, but I want to recover now. I want to start on the road to recovery. So I think the word is, I guess some people call it mental fitness, mental resilience, whatever it
Mm.
is. But for me, that is crucial because I had every reason to not recover for months. Every reason. I've gone through a traumatic thing. I mean, nobody would ever say to me, Mildred, you need to get up and start doing things again. But in myself, because the kind of person I am, I'm like, oh no, I need to get back up and functioning as soon as I'm able to. So that's what really helped me as well to just keep on going.
Wow. 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 That's amazing. And you know what? I think I remember, I don't even know who said this, but somebody once said, if the why is big enough, the how takes care of itself. That if you have a reason to do something, to overcome something, to move forward towards something else, you will just find it in your bones to do it. And I think our mental attitude it's incredible. And
Yeah.
obviously, it sounds like you had a lot to live for. You had a lot
Yeah.
to live for. You had a wonderful family, supportive husband, two cute little kids. It's like, you kind of look and it's like sliding door. Do I want to leave this life and leave all these people alone? Or am I going to just do what I have to do? So that's great. That's great. I see we have a couple of comments. So let me just pop over there. So some of these people, I don't know if you know or not, I don't know or whatever. So we have Jeff Young. So this is a new look, Gillian. He's talking about this whole live event. It's so different because this just came in and it was just so different. So thank you, Jeff. He's always like my go-to wingman out in LinkedIn world, letting me know.
I love his content. I see your post, Jeff. I love it. Good work.
He's a great guy. He is a super trooper. Hi, Gillian and Mildred. Thank you for sharing your incredible story. Absolutely. I don't know if you know Tina with two eyes. She's amazing. She's a great one. A great one. Greetings, Gillian and Mildred. Thanks for sharing your outstanding story. It truly is. Aside from your own obvious courage, Mildred, what would you credit most for helping you bounce back? That's a great question.
That is a great question, Jeff. So family, as I said, my family support was amazing. My church community support was amazing. My neighbors. There was a point where my youngest, so my older daughter has started primary school. My youngest was still in nursery, and her nursery is around the corner. And I used to be able to walk her to nursery. But when I came out of the hospital, I couldn't do that because I would black out and faint, randomly. So I couldn't, it wasn't safe for me to walk myself around the corner, let alone take my little 4-year-old at the time with me. So I literally had neighbors come and knock for me, knock for both of us, and walk us to the nursery and back. like
Oh,
every day for a few weeks while my husband wasn't able to do it because he's at work and he's picking up the other one. So like just the entire support that I felt and the love from everybody was really key to helping me bounce back. It was absolutely amazing. And as I already said, my faith on a practical level as well. What I have you heard of the Couch to 5K app?
mm-mm, mm-mm.
Okay, I'm gonna give them a great plug. Like, if for
Okay.
anybody like who it's an app that you download, it's called Couch to 5K. So for anybody who wants to get in a habit of running, a slow
Yeah.
level. I used to do 5K runs before my surgery and all of that, and I
Wow.
couldn't do it for a while. So I downloaded this one app. It takes you through like an 8-week pathway of literally going from not even walking, barely walking, to running. So in 8 weeks
Wow.
using that app, I was able to get back up to running a 5K, so from like barely using my legs and barely walking anywhere. So I'm like, that is a great app. It does what it says on the tin
Wow.
if you
So,
apply it. Yeah.
so you've now run a 5K since this whole thing?
Oh, absolutely. So for my 1 year anniversary, yeah, thank you. I did a fundraiser, a 5K fundraiser, and I raised about 1,500 for St. George's Hospital, just kind of a thank you celebration. And now I regularly run 5Ks. And I think next month I'm gonna try and beat my old time of 5K again, just to like keep challenging myself physically. Because there was a point I couldn't use my legs. So every chance I get to use my legs now, it's like it's a great thing. It's a miracle, and I'm gonna use it. So yeah.
Wow. That's and it's always so incredible when somebody takes something that was, a horrible experience, a terrible experience, and then they just find a way to like do a shift and can I use this for good? So to turn around and say, okay, first of all, I want to set a personal goal with myself to run, but a personal goal that raises money to help the people that helped me is kind of to me, that's like way awesome. It's like putting so much positive energy, and you just kind of say, who knows what that little bit of money, which is not actually not a little bit, it's a lot of bit of money, but who knows what that money could have done and affected other people. So it's kind of like, it's like throwing a rock in the water and you just see it ripple out, and you just never know how far those rings are going to go. And I really commend you for that, because that
Thank you.
is really nice. So let
Mhm.
me ask you a question about visibility on LinkedIn, which is what, it's your brand, that's your thing, is visibility. So here's the question that I would ask as a small business owner. Luckily right now I don't have any adversity in my life, but if I did have adversity, know, like for instance, like a year ago, my dog died, and it was really hard on me. My dog was like 16 years and she passed away. And the day that she passed away, I had business appointments, and I just felt big M martyr on my shirt. I should go, and it's just a dog, but it wasn't just a dog. It was my
Mm.
dog, my beloved dog of 16 years. And I kind of kept going and, carried on. And I've seen other people that have posted on LinkedIn, my dog died today, and I'm really sad. And, and they talk about it, and people, they add to the comments, I've been through this. They give them that empathy that we all need. So when you have adversity, and we'll just take something as simple as like you're losing your pet, but big things, little things, is that something we should be sharing, shouldn't be sharing? How much should we share? What are the lines? What are the boundaries?
I love that question, Gillian. I really love that question. And my straight up answer is it depends on as much as you're comfortable with. So when I had the brain tumor and I recovered and everything, it actually took, I think it was at least a good 6 months plus, and probably more than that, before I was able to talk about it openly, before
Mm,
I felt comfortable enough to talk about it. Because one thing I don't advocate is trading your personal story for likes or for visibility or anything like that. And I know sometimes people do that because you tell a strong emotional story and people buy into it, and it's like, great. No, this is your life. You're a real person with feelings. Things are
right.
happening. You losing your pet is a big deal to you.
Yeah.
If for some people, and I think maybe it's more an introvert extrovert thing, but some people putting it out there helps them to heal. And if that's you, then put it out there, if that's
Yep.
going to help you heal. But if it's just for the sake of, I'm going to put this out because this is a bit of content, then that's entirely the wrong reason and a wrong motive to share your story. So, as I said, it took me about 8 months or so before I was able to put something out there. And then when I did, it took a lot of courage, to just put it out there because I felt so exposed. I'm like, people know me as this LinkedIn visibility person, but they don't know me as a brain tumor survivor. So that's a big part of my personal life that I'm suddenly now exposing to the public.
Yeah.
So I had to be comfortable with it on the inside. And even then I said to my husband, oh my God, should I put it out? And I'm like, should I delete this post? Or like, should I, because it's still kind of like,
To hit send or not to hit send? Always the
Exactly,
question.
exactly, so and that's kind of like the test of it, if you're not at the place where you can maybe draw lessons from it and make it something positive, then maybe it's not yet the time for you to share it. Maybe you're still in a grievance stage of whatever it is, or still in a recovery stage, and that is absolutely okay. Your story is not for sale. It's not for sale. It's not for trading, for visibility or anything like that. But when you are comfortable to start sharing your story, then it's important that it's heard because it inspires somebody else to keep going just because you were able to.
Agreed. Agreed. And I love that answer. It's a great answer. And I think it does have to be a personal choice. And I do like that, you said you wanted to talk, when we talked about you coming on the show and you were talking about this. And one of the things was your mission was to encourage people, don't put off your dreams. Like you see that sort of silver lining as opposed to, you truly could just say, why did this happen to me? And you can be angry. And, there's so many emotions that one can go through when you're hit with adversity. And we just kind of go, everybody else they're just doing their life. Why does this happen to me? And stuff happens to all of us. We just don't all show it. We all have our things, that our war wounds that we keep hidden. But I think sometimes it's about how, if we're inspired to encourage others that, hey, this has happened to us, we kept going. And I think if anything, one of the lessons it sounds like you learned is life is short. So, get on with it. What do you really want to do in life? Things like this, when they happen to you, they're almost like wake up calls. Like, if you can't walk and you've been used to being a runner, well, that's going to make you a little bit more determined than somebody who's like, I'll do a marathon one day. Now you know what it's like to not be able to do a marathon. You probably trained at an amazing level than just the regular couch potatoes like me.
Well, I'd love to think so in my head. you know.
So,
Yeah.
so did you keep any record of your journey? Did you journal? Did you do voice notes? Did you do anything to kind of capture this moment? Because you weren't posting on it, day by day. So how did you keep those memories, or did you?
Oh, I did. Oh, definitely I did. I journaled all the time throughout the entire hospital experience. And for me, journaling is, as I said, I am a person of faith and I believe in God. So like for me, journaling is a conversation with God. So that's what I was having. And it was like, okay, so it's not so much the why me type of stuff, because as you said, this stuff happens. It was more like, what is the purpose of this? What is the purpose? And ironically, one of the things that I felt, and it sounds funny, maybe even a bit silly, but is that one of the things I felt in my journaling process was like, Mildred, like, use this time to just rest for a bit. I know it's like it's not the rest I would prescribe for myself, but I am the kind of person, I'm a go-getter. I have goals, I have vision, I'm driven, that kind of stuff. So constantly on the go. And I got 2 kids and a husband as well as everything else.
Busy
So
life.
yeah,
Busy life.
exactly. So my life is constantly on the go. But when this happened, it was like, I can't go anywhere but get up from my hospital bed, because I had about 2 weeks before I was operated on, and then 2 weeks after the operation. So in the 2 weeks before the operation, it was like being in a hotel, to be honest. I was weighted on hand and foot. I put on a lot of weight because every day they came around with like, would you like some custard and pie today? I'm like, yes, please. you know, bring it all. So I was eating everything, but it was restful. And that was one of the things I was like, okay, so this is giving me a time of rest. And then also from the journaling, what I really got was clarity on the kind
Mm,
of life that I wanted to live post
mm,
operation. Because at
mm,
that point, I was in the place where I was deciding between working full time and really climbing that career ladder and, corner office kind of thing, but for somebody else, and whether I should continue my entrepreneurial path and at some point go full time into my own business. And I was still undecided, and even
mm,
up until a few months after I came out, was still kind of undecided. But in there, when I started picturing the kind of life that I wanted, it was clear that that life involved my time and financial freedom, and nothing was going to give that to me but my business. So going into business for myself would allow me to, like I do now, I work for about less than 30 hours a week. I get to see my kids, I drop them off, and if I want to have date night in the middle of the week, my husband, we can do that. So it's my one of the messages, and we were kind of working our way towards this, but when the tumor happened, it was like, we really need to concentrate on it. It's like to live your life today how you want to
mm,
live it. Don't
mm,
wait until retirement. Live a semi-retired life today. Like, don't wait until that far goal in future to start living your dream life. Even if it's just one step that you do today to make it happen, take that one step. Even if it's
mm.
cutting down, you work 5 days a week, cut it down to 4 days, and then 3 days, whatever it is. But don't put off for tomorrow what you can do today. So it's just that whole clarity of, this is the life that I want to live, and this is how I need to go about shaping it. That came through that whole experience of brain tumor.
What a gift. What a
Mm.
gift that is, to get that clarity and just recognize, oh, I need to make some changes in my life and to have that time to be. And I think sometimes that's the danger that we live. We're like kind of like hamsters on a little, wheel. We're just going round and round, and we never really take that time to step back.
Mm.
And I remember I broke my hand once, and it was my right hand, so I couldn't write, I couldn't type, I couldn't do anything. And for 6 weeks, I just had to kind of sit there, and I had to learn how to use voice assist, and I really couldn't do a lot. So I started to learn, and my whole business went in a different direction as a result of that injury. So sometimes you go, I don't necessarily like how that gift arrived, but I
Yeah,
do appreciate the learning, that the wisdom that came with the gift. I could have passed on the experience, but if I had to get the wisdom through it, oh well, at least I've got it, and now I
yeah.
can move on. So that's good. Let me just
Mhm.
check and see. We have a couple of comments again. Okay, so here we go. Totally agree, Jeff Young. Each person has to decide how comfortable they are sharing from the other side. I love this quote. Be who you are and say what you feel, because the ones who mind don't matter, and the ones who matter don't mind. That's a good one. That's a good one. I
Yeah.
think that's Dr. Zeus, actually. Totally agree. Oh, I'm back on the same quote. Okay, okay. So I got to ask you, is there a book? Is there a book in this? Because that really feels like maybe the next step. You take your all these LinkedIn lives you're doing and podcasts and stream them all together, and you've got your book. So is that part of is that in the future?
Well, there is a book number 5 is in my brain floating around somewhere. So I have my LinkedIn book, which came out last year, Start Being Visible. But I do think there is something about sharing our stories, and being visible about it, that needs to be written.
Yep.
So it's floating around. Nothing decided yet, but I think there will be a book number 5 next year in 2022.
Awesome. Awesome. I applaud you. I applaud you. Okay, so do you have any sort of parting words for us, words of wisdom, any sort of takeaways you want to kind of send us off with, as closing stories?
Yeah, I think based on what we were talking about just a bit, it's this whole tumor experience, as you said, drawing the lessons from life. So there's one of my books, my I can't even keep track now. My third book is a children's book of positive affirmations called My Little
Mm,
Book of I Ams, which I wrote for my kids and for all kids, but for my girls mainly. But one of the things that's in there that I say to them, it's like there are no failures in life, only lessons.
mm,
So as long as you draw the lessons from whatever experience you go through, whether that's a failure situation or whether that's adversity like this one, then it hasn't been a waste. Nothing is a waste if we can just draw lessons from it and take those and move forward of our lives. So that would be my parting words for anybody listening to this.
oh, that's wonderful. Great way to end. And in the show notes, I'm going to put a link to Amazon. I'll put it for the UK and for, well, I don't know if I have access to the UK, but I'll put an Amazon.com link back to your books so that people can check them out. I'm going to go get your book. I saw that you had just done a book, and I'm like, I love supporting local. I call them local authors. They're not, but they're
Yeah.
LinkedIn. I like the independence. I like supporting the independent authors because I just think it's great. We all support each other, and you have some great lessons to teach us. And I love your visibility because you're doing a great job. So with that, we'll say goodbye. And this was great. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, and just sort of being a light for us on LinkedIn. That it's like, we all go through stuff. We have to just get those lessons, move forward. I think this is awesome. So thank you so much for coming and being with us today.
And thank you so much for the great conversation. It's been an absolute pleasure being here with you, Gillian.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.